Kaoru Hanayama, a 6'3" Yakuza boss that weighs 366 pounds. This mob boss can implode a man's face with just a singular punch, and can even withstand attacks from even the likes of the legendary swordsman himself, Musashi Miyamoto. He is even greatly respected by the likes of Baki Hanma. Just how strong is Kaoru Hanayama? Hanayama is a man that has power on par with and maybe even surpassing legendary dinosaurs, such as the Triceratops that can weigh from 6 to 12 tons. Hanayama has even been shown taking punches from the physically largest character in all of Baki, Ryuji Tokura. Tokura comes in standing at a staggering 9'8" and has also been shown absolutely destroying trains, as well as picking up and throwing a truck that was coming at him at full force. And with Hanayama utilizing a street-like fighting style with his immense physical power and an insane grip strength that's only comparable to the likes of Lana Rhodes, Hanayama was the first human that Pickle even ever acknowledged and considered a rival rather than just simple food. Hanayama even defeated an enormous great white shark after diving down into the ocean in order to retrieve his fishing hook that had fell into the bottom of the ocean. And this is when a 22-foot great white shark swam behind Hanayama and began trying to attack him while he was underwater. And this is when Hanayama grabbed the tip of the shark's nose and squeezed down so hard on this shark's nose that it began swimming towards the surface to try to shake Hanayama off of him. But when the shark managed to jump out of the water for a second, this is when Hanayama reached out, grabbed, and squeezed the shark's eyeball until it popped. Hanayama then stuck his entire arm into the shark's head using his eyeball hole, and he began feeling around the shark's head. And after Hanayama found the shark's brain, he squeezed this shark's brain until it exploded. This shark was enormous, damn near megalodon level. And these fishermen went home as very happy men, and Hanayama went home as a man who defeated a dinosaur-sized shark in its own territory. Hanayama was even acknowledged by Musashi Miyamoto, who is debatably a top 3 character in the Baki series. Hanayama had thrown a punch that Musashi had planned to counter using a sword, which could split a man's whole arm in half with ease. But for Hanayama, that's not what happened. Musashi's entire sword was stopped by Hanayama's knuckles, and Hanayama even gave the sword back after it was stuck in his hand. Hanayama and Musashi Miyamoto even had a grip strength test on each other, and Hanayama's strength managed to overwhelm Musashi and force him onto the ground using his physical strength alone. And even though Hanayama had fallen too short and lost this battle to Musashi Miyamoto, Musashi had something to say that may just make you appreciate Hanayama way more. From the 10 slashes that he had landed onto Hanayama's body, none of them had gotten through. Even though they were performed earnestly, none of them could penetrate him. Musashi has been seen slashing through 8 bodies stacked on top of each other at once. He has split a hardened stone pot, a heavy tombstone, hell, even guns. He used to think that there was nothing he could not cut in this world, but now Hanayama has made Musashi unsure about this. Hanayama was beyond the borders of Musashi's imagination. And moreover, even though Hanayama had admitted he could not defeat Musashi, he courageously showed Musashi his exposed back where there is an unearthly iron castle that is always protecting him underneath his injured skin. And this castle is made up of his insanely strong bones, and these dense bones can protect him from attacks as well as adding even more power to his attacks. Hanayama is one of the few characters in the Baki series that doesn't actually practice any martial art. He fights like who he is, a Yakuza boss, and does not dodge any attacks. Instead, he takes them head on, and Hanayama does not do this for no reason. Hanayama's insane durability has been shown being even capable of stopping bullets, and Hanayama could continue walking unfazed as he was being shot. And at one point, Hanayama actually tried to take Yujiro Hanma on, and considering how strong Yujiro is, it actually went pretty well for Hanayama. It started off with Hanayama throwing the first punch in the fight, and Yujiro actually acknowledged Hanayama's ability. saying just like him, Hanayama was born to be called strong, and even while carrying the name strong, he was still a genius. But he didn't dwell in that knowledge. Hanayama didn't have to train, but he did, just to prove that he wasn't a fraud. Even though he was blessed with the title strong, he still secretly trained. This is no longer a simple punch from a strong genius. There is not a single sign of cowardice in those fists. It's as if he has been striving to do the unexpected, very carefully moving and living, as if he was trying to become an underdog who can overcome great odds. And after this punch landed, a bystander described the sound of the punch being similar to one of a gunshot. And of course this attack did next to no damage to Yujiro Hanma, you know, because he's Yujiro Hanma, but it did manage to make Yujiro's nose bleed. Hanayama then threw an uppercut, left hook, and then when he went for a third strike, Yujiro grabbed his face and ended the fight. But the fact that Hanayama drew blood from Yujiro Hanma does show his power, considering Yujiro isn't exactly the type of character to bleed easily, even if he was hit directly. And during Hanayama's fight with Spec, he showed just how strong he truly is. And at first, it seemed as though Hanayama was going to lose. I mean, he was being stepped on. But then, on the news, the reporter was asked if he thought Spec had killed Hanayama, and he responded, saying the person who asked the question doesn't understand very well. It's Kaoru Hanayama, and Spec had planned on ending the fight by putting his revolver in Hanayama's mouth and shooting him in the head. But when Hanayama had opened his eyes, he got a flashback from his fight with Yujiro Hanma when Yujiro was standing over him, and Hanayama had moved, redirecting the bullet out of the side of his mouth. Spec was terrified, and Hanayama then started bashing Spec with punches. But then, Spec took Hanayama's back, putting him into a chokehold. And this is when Hanayama got brutal. He grabbed Spec's arm and almost ripped Spec's entire arm apart into two. And he then ripped a piece of Spec's thigh off as well. Spec had tried to shove his finger into Hanayama's ear, which would usually kill a man. But Hanayama then brutally grabbed Spec's throat and ripped it apart, leaving Spec in critical condition. However, Hanayama is not invincible. He does have weaknesses such as his speed. Don't get me wrong, Hanayama is decently fast, but when it comes to fighting and being compared to top tier opponents such as Pickle or Baki, he would not be able to match their speed. Hanayama's attacks are more powerful than fast, and Hanayama's weak spot appears to be his stomach, as this was the only place that Musashi had cut Hanayama where it could have actually killed him. But Hanayama has one ability that overpowers everybody in Baki: his drip. This man is the drippiest character in Baki by far. Let me know how strong you think Hanayama is in the comment section below. Is he a top 10 character? And if you would like to interact with me, my community, show off your art, drop some memes, or just chat in general, then you can join the Discord that can be found in the description box below. And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to support me, then you can leave a like and subscribe. It's completely free on your end and helps me out way more than you may think. But that's gonna be all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!